MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
And my name is Jerry.
And for the first time in over a calendar year, we get to celebrate a Panthers victory.
Woo!
Panthers defeat the New Orleans Saints 22-14 at Bank of America Stadium in a game that was not as dominant as you would think a game that played out like this would be. But the Panthers did a great job in forcing some turnovers. Defense was amazing, and the offense didn't make major mistakes, and that seems to be the Matt Rule formula.
I was going to say, this was a defensive special team win, in my opinion. The offense did not screw it up. That's all I could say. Even though the defense kind of struggled down the stretch, all of a sudden giving up big plays to Winston.
Well, again, that's, you and I talk offline a lot about this, but that's the Panthers' winning defense is just do everything you can to let the other team back into the game
We'll
as
discuss
slowly
that.
as possible, essentially.
We'll discuss this here in a little bit because I got more words to say on that. But I want to enjoy the win for a second. It actually happened.
We are now in second place in the NFC South.
We are not going to be the first team that goes 0-17. So, pats on the back. Matt rolled, popped that champagne in the coach's room. You did it.
We now have a positive point differential for the season.
Ooh.
Yeah, we have scored 3 more points than we have let go. It was, like you said, a defensive. Really, for the first 3 quarters, it was a masterpiece on defense. They did everything you would hope that they could do. They turned the ball over. They shut down the run. Really, after that first run that Kamara had, where you texted me and said, "Oh, it's gonna be that kind of game." They really, buckled down and stopped him from making any game breaking runs, especially, and really shut him down. I haven't looked at his final stats yet, but the Panthers did a really good job. It's now 2 weeks in a row where you face a really dynamic runner that they were able to not let him break the game open, right?
Yeah, and up until that fourth quarter, the pass defense was really solid. Yes, they made some plays, but for the most part, it was Jameis under duress, throwing the ball. Or there was like 3 or 4 catches before that fourth quarter that were just I questioned. I was like, that's incomplete. Sure enough, great catches by the Saints receiver. So
you could tell that the game plan coming in here was to hit Jameis as many times as possible. Make
rightfully
him
so.
afraid of the rush. Right. The guy came in with a broken back essentially and a hurt ankle. You hit him as much as you can. And it took him off his game. 2 interceptions, a couple of fumbles. He didn't lose them, but he had a couple. He still passed for 353 yards. But most of that was in garbage time,
in that desperation trying to come back. And they had a chance to come back.
Yeah, I hesitate to even call it garbage time because they weren't even down 2 touchdowns for most of the game. But again, the Panthers sort of it felt like they were willing to let him rack up some stats as long as they didn't get into the end zone.
Until they did.
Until they did, got into the end zone twice. Do you think the Panthers are we lucky to come out of this game with a win?
I don't think lucky because I think that defense was so dominant in the first. If our offense had any semblance of not a high school offense out there playing in the NFL, if we didn't have Christian McCaffrey, honestly, if we didn't have Christian McCaffrey, we'd have lost this game because he was the offense besides Chenault 2 plays.
Yeah, which by the way, welcome to Carolina, Laviska. 2 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown for him. Obviously, he had the big 67-yard one, but he had a really big first down in the fourth quarter.
It was 3rd down, yeah.
Yeah, really big first down there, and had a really nice return on that touchdown catch he had. He had like a 36-yard return. So, welcome to the team. I hope we see more of you, honestly.
At this point, he has to be out there. He's looked. It was only 2 catches, but I mean, he looked. Where's DJ Moore? Where's Robbie Anderson? Where are these receivers that are supposed to be our starters? Are they not getting open down the field? And Baker Mayfield obviously had a horrible game, missing throws left and right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, matter of fact, I know one of DJ Moore was down like 16, 17 yards down the field for a first down, and he just completely airballed it. So maybe it's Baker. It could be the Saints have a good secondary, but
well, I think a lot of it was Baker in this game. There were some players were open. I mean, they showed them on the replays. You could see it during the game, especially the couple of DJ Moore that you're talking about were just bad throws. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if DJ was in the exact right spot he should have been on the route. I don't know what the routes are, but he was open and Baker should have got him the ball. I mean, that's period.
And there was another fourth down play. They were saying on the commentators were like, no one's open. If you look down, if DJ's open was open, you get it quick. He's 1 or 2 yards short of the first, but you expect DJ to be able to make that or have a great defensive play where you're like, damn, okay.
Yeah, he flashed open across the middle of the field. They could have got him the ball. Baker did have some guys in his face. He may not have seen him. Baker's a short guy for an NFL quarterback. But, between Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore, 10 targets, 2 catches for 16 yards between the two of them. So you're not going to win most games when your top 2 receivers have 2 catches for 16 yards between the two of them.
Yeah.
You're just not going to win a lot of games.
Luckily, we do have Christian McCaffrey. Like I said, stud. He even though his stats aren't mind-blowing this week, he kept the offense running enough to give the defense a rest. Got them into field goal range,
Did so,
and I'm glad we focused on him too, running the ball.
Agreed. And we'll get into all the stats here in a minute, but it's pertinent to what we're talking about. He had 25 carries in this game. Over 100 yards for the second week in a row. No touchdowns for him, and he only had a couple of catches. But, 27 total touches for him this game. That's a lot, and it's a little on the high side, but it felt like they needed it in this game.
Oh, yeah.
So
because no one else was contributing.
Yeah. And he came out of the game healthy. So that's all you can ask for. But, I mean, some key third down runs for him, some key first down pickups, made a lot of guys miss in this game. I wish they'd get him more involved in the passing game. I feel like he could, that's where we've seen him really separate himself in terms of how good he can be. But
in the passing game, I did notice they had him inside the block so much, which this was a good offensive line play. I mean, yes, he got rushed and sacked a couple times, but for the most part, he was kept pretty clean considering the past 2 weeks, I felt like. He wasn't under duress nonstop. I felt like they gave him time. He just either held on to the ball too long or freaked out and just threw bad balls.
It looked to me like he's talked about this before, creating his own pressure. I felt like he created his own pressure 3 or 4 times in this game where the line was blocking pretty well for him, and he just freaked out, because the mental clock in his head was up, and he didn't trust that his line had him. And I don't blame him, honestly, for getting a little antsy there after 3 or 4 seconds. So, but hey, the Panthers won this game. We don't want to talk negative about, the whole time about the offense. The offense was pretty inept in this game, but we won. We are now 1-2 on the season, and, a tougher part of our schedule is coming up. So hoping that we can take this momentum and keep it going for a few weeks. But,
and before we go too much into the key plays or anything, and we're kind of doing the overview, the defense overall had stars left and right. Frankie Luvu, Derek Brown, besides his interceptions, I saw him multiple times in Jameis Winston's face. He had the batted pass. I mean, dude was studying out there for what looked like we were hoping for Derek Brown to look like.
Yeah, this was the Derek Brown game. I mean, you could say this is a Frankie Luvu game too. I mean, there's a lot of guys that played really well in this game, but Derek Brown was the one that jumped out to me early and then continued to play at a really high level the whole game.
Yeah.
So keep going.
I was going to say, Brian Burns was back there. He didn't get a sack. Jeremy Chin, I think, played pretty well. He did give up a big pass play, but I personally still think that we're playing him out of position. But you know,
Yeah.
whatever. He still came in with that very very important sack that missed the field goal. When he got that sack, I told Sylvia, I was like, hey, they just made that kick from an easy one to one that's a pretty difficult one, and sure enough, he shanked it. So
Yeah. Push it, but yeah, he missed it. And I was just looking. Would they only have us down for 6 QB hits?
hmm
I think there were quite a bit more than that.
they may have not considered them hits, but yeah, I felt like every other play, Winston was on the ground from being
Yeah.
pushed down right after he got threw the ball away.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they've got him at the same amount of QB hits that the Saints had on Baker, and it looked a bit different to me. Like it looked like Jameis was, he's getting his ass kicked out there. To
yeah,
me, is what I saw. So, all right, well, let's jump into our key plays here. We've got 4 key plays today, and Jerry, why don't you go ahead and kick us off here?
all right, 5:32 in the first quarter. Alvin Kamara, right tackle to New Orleans, 43, -2 yards. The defense swarmed. Frankie Louvu sticks his paw in there, rips it out, fumble, recovered by Marquise Haynes, return 44 or for a touchdown, 44 yards. Panthers go up 7-0.
Yeah, and at this point of the game, honestly, I was not feeling too good.
No,
The Saints had been moving the ball. They hadn't scored yet, but they had been moving the ball, and the Panthers had not been on offense at all. Had not been moving the ball at all. And this was one of those plays where, I mean, it felt like the momentum was against us already with 5 minutes left in the first in a 0-0 game.
yeah,
But it felt like we were going to lose this game. Honestly, that's how I felt.
the
And
momentum was kind of swinging their way. It
yeah,
wasn't full momentum, but this
yeah,
just kind of ripped it out of their hands. Their
yeah,
star player fumbling it, and a return for a
yeah,
touchdown too, where
yeah.
you didn't have to stop our offense, which they were doing pretty easily.
And I saw a stat pop up on the screen for like half a second. It wasn't up there very long, but it looked like it had said this was our first fumble return touchdown since 2020.
Yeah,
I didn't see what week or anything, but yeah, so nice to see. Again, first turnover that we've had all season, that we forced all season. So that was really nice. Our second key play here is we're going to move to the second quarter. Panthers are up 13-0 here. Saints have moved the ball down the field. There's about 33 seconds left, and Will Lutz's field goal is blocked by Harry Anderson. Henry Anderson? Harry Anderson.
Henry Anderson.
Henry Anderson.
He's not a Sasquatch.
Harry the Henderson. Harry and the Henderson. So Henry Anderson blocked that. They didn't know who to really attribute the block to. I think at one point they were saying Marquand McCall.
Yeah,
I'd seen several guys that were credited with the block, but officially it looks like ESPN has him as Henry Anderson. So huge play there. I mean, keep him at 0 points going into halftime. Again, steal that momentum back. They were about to kick a field goal and be the last score before halftime. That gives them a little bit of juice getting the ball first in the second half.
They were on our 11-yard line too. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. I mean, that was already kind of a win for our defense, and then for them to walk away with nothing.
Yeah.
That hurts an offensive mindset, I believe. Just
For sure. I mean, and again, just a big momentum swinger from the special teams, and that wasn't the only one in this game.
No, again, I said special teams and defense.
Yeah.
I didn't leave them out. Hecker had a heck of a game.
He did. We'll talk about him here in a little bit, but you know how I love to highlight the kickers. All right, what's our next key play here?
Panthers are up 13-7, second and 10 at Carolina's 33, 12:06 in the fourth quarter. Baker Mayfield pass short right to Laviska Shenault. He jukes one guy. He breaks another tackle. 67 yards down the field, touchdown, Laviska Shenault. First of all, he looks so much faster than I expected because everything I was reading when we drafted him in the highlights, he didn't look fast. He looked good, and but he looked fast there where he was breaking away from corners and stuff like that were chasing him. I was pleasantly surprised with that, besides cheering for a 67-yard touchdown.
And just before anyone comments, Jerry misspoke. We know that the Panthers didn't draft him. We traded for him. So
Did I say
So
drafted?
you did.
Well, I
But
was
it's okay.
watching draft highlights and stuff
Yeah.
on him,
Yeah.
like trying to get more information because I was
Yeah, I
not
know.
very
I
familiar
just
with
wanted to go ahead and stop the comments before they come.
it.
But yeah, huge play there. Welcome to Carolina, Laviska Shenault. That's again, I agree with you. He ran away from guys, and
Yeah,
that's not a part of his game I expected. I knew he was a big guy. I knew he had some backfield skills.
yeah,
Um, and you have 600 yards each of the last 2 seasons for the Jaguars. That's nothing to sneeze at. That's not a
yeah,
team that's been very good the last couple of seasons. Um, but this was a huge play. I mean, honestly, between him and Luvu, I would say you're one of both those guys are going to be our heroes. It just depends on which one each of us choose, I think, for this game. But huge play there. And our final key play here, 2nd and 10 at the New Orleans 36 with 11 and a half minutes left in the fourth quarter. Jameis Winston, short pass intended for Chris Olave, intercepted by Derek Brown after J.C. Horn tips it at the line, flies up in the air. Derek Brown makes a really athletic, kind of backwards catch almost, the opposite direction he was headed. Really nice play. Panthers get the ball. They, I think, go down and kick a field goal.
yeah,
So just kind of puts the game out of reach.
yeah. It really kind of did. And in my opinion, Derek Brown should line up as wide receiver. We already tried Kelvin Benjamin out there, so there's not much weight difference. So, all right, that was my last joke for Kelvin
Ouch.
Benjamin for the episode. Sorry, had to throw it in. Had the joke all
Kelvin
lined
Benjamin sighting. Wow.
up. No, but that was an impressive catch. I really
It
was
was, yeah.
afraid he dropped it from the camera angle I saw, but then I saw
I
it again.
expected him to drop it, honestly.
Yeah.
Like a defensive tackle making that kind of play is pretty rare. It was really nice.
Yeah, really is.
Yeah.
So
that's the 4 key plays there. Obviously, there was another interception by J.C. Horn towards the end of the game, but the game was kind of out of reach at that point.
After a brilliant Hecker kick punt.
Yeah.
17 seconds left. You put them on like the 1.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, everything was working today except the offense. And the offense was, I don't even want to say they were good enough, but they didn't make the big mistakes. And that's,
a Baker turnover in our side of the field could easily turn into a difference in this game. Just one turnover.
Easily. All right, real quick break here. This podcast is brought to you by CBDX.com, your number one source for CBD related products, flower gummies, vapes. They've got these new like smoothie gummies. I haven't tried them yet. Have you?
I have not actually. I usually just go to the gummies. Took them on the beach trip. It was fun.
Yeah.
All the 2-year-old fell asleep early. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they work. They kind of chill you out, relax you. I really enjoy them. So CBDX.com, promo code MEOW will save you 20%. It also kick us back a little bit of quiche. So we appreciate that. If you guys want to upgrade your CBD game, check it out. All right, let's go look at some stats. And honestly, the stats are pretty interesting here. You might look at the stats only if you don't look at the score, and you might think the Panthers lost this game. But we'll start with Baker Mayfield. 12 of 25, 170 yards and a touchdown. No interceptions is probably the best thing you can say about his game today.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know what it is, if it's Baker Mayfield or if it's the receivers not getting up. Like I said, the O-line looked good enough. I mean, they did not look stellar, but there's plenty of times where I saw him have plenty of time back there, and he just couldn't find somebody or threw it bad. So
I thought that Icky looked pretty good today in pass coverage.
I did too.
I didn't see Cam Jordan get anywhere close to Baker, so I'll be interested to go back and watch some tape from him and check out the PFF grade and things like that. Christian McCaffrey, 25 carries, 108 yards. Chuba with 3 carries for 25 yards. including a 14-yard run that was really nice.
Yeah.
He kind of put his hand on the ground, spun around, and kept going for another 5 or 6 yards. Really nice there.
Best he's looked this year.
Yeah, DJ Moore, 2 rushes for 13 yards. I really like the little double reverse that they did early in the game. I thought that was nice to see them doing something different for a change instead of just drop back pass or run.
And DJ Moore, like Laviska Shenault, has that ability. He used to play some running back in college at Maryland. So his biggest problem is doing that one-handed sling out, but he's been a lot better this year. So do more of that. Let him be explosive.
I'd like to see more of that with him. I'd like to see more of that with Shenault. I'd like to see more of it with Robbie. Robbie's really fast. Let me see some different looks out of that same play where you don't do the double reverse, you fake the double reverse, there's lots of ways that play can work. So, in terms of receiving, Laviska Shenault, two receptions for 90 yards and a touchdown. That's pretty much it. I mean, Shi Smith, 2 for 22, Giovanni Ricci, 1 for 15, Robbie Anderson, 1 for 14, Ian Thomas, 2 for 13, Trimble, 1 for 7, McCaffrey, 2 for 7, DJ Moore, 1 for 2 on 6 targets.
I just don't understand. Without Shenault 67-yarder, we're looking at 103 passing yards.
And we're looking at a different game, honestly, because you take those, really it's only 6 points. Take those 6 points away, and it's a much closer game, and makes the Saints do some different things. So, huge play there by Shenault. So, and you can't even give Baker. I mean, Baker gets credit for the touchdown and the yards, but take that away from Baker, and he's at like 100 yards.
Yeah.
On 24 attempts. Yeah, that's rough. So they got to figure that out. The offense needs some work for sure.
Yeah, I know we have Ben McAdoo now, but I mean, compared to Joe Brady, but either way, man, it's time. There are weapons on this team besides Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
There's weapons out there. Why cannot no offensive coordinator put anything together? Again, the offensive line looked decent today. They opened up holes for Christian McCaffrey. He was averaging 5.5, 6 yards a carry up until late fourth quarter, where he ran into.
They just ran him up the middle,
5-10 times. Yeah.
3 times a row punt, 3 times a row punt. I really hated their offensive game plan when they're winning. It's boring, and I understand, not making mistakes. I get it.
Especially with the way Baker was playing today, I would not really trust. The only issue I had is, why are we not running some, not end arounds, but some other type of run plays too? Like maybe instead of up the middle, maybe off tackle or something for Christian to get him in space.
Where he was getting a lot of his yards.
Yes.
Especially when they're all the defense is crowded right there in the middle. Run to the left, run to the right. He's fast. He's faster than he's faster than all the linebackers. He's faster than most of the defensive ends.
And shiftier.
Let him do it. And shiftier, yeah. All right. Well,
this is a win, guys. This is a win.
We won. Jeremy Chin led the team in tackles with 8. Also had a sack. Had 2 pass blocks or pass defenses, and is credited with, I guess, QB hit would be the sack. But really good game for Jeremy Chin. CJ Henderson with 6. Oh, by the way, Dante Jackson went out in this game early with a neck injury. So CJ Henderson and Horn were the 2 main DBs out there in this game. But CJ had 6 tackles, second on the team. Frankie ended up with 5 tackles, but really felt like his impact was way more than that.
He just makes splash plays. And that's not a negative. That wasn't me being negative. He makes those splash plays. He gets in there and he forces fumbles. He gets that tackle for losses. It's just...
He also alters what the offense does just by kind of being in the right position. Yeah. He forces a runner to go further out and allows the corners or whoever to pick him off. Frankie Louva, just a great game.
He blew up that guard and forced him straight into a Shaq Thompson tackle. He doesn't get credit for that, but that he was right there. That's
helped. Like an assist. He should have an assist on that one.
So
Speaking of Shaq, he had 4 tackles today, and really, I mean, everybody else, 2, 3, 1 tackle. Davion Nixon got on the stat sheet with a tackle. Ian Thomas got a tackle. I guess that's on special teams. But 8 pass defenses for this defense today, so really good job there. Laviska Shenault, 2 kick returns for 54 yards, including that 36-yard return that he on the same drive where he scored the touchdown. I thought he looked a lot better than Chuba returning kicks. I'm sure you would agree. Yeah. So it's 100%. Nice not to have Chuba out there. Eddie Pinheiro, 3 for 3 on field goals, 1 for 1 on extra points.
Perfect Pinheiro.
Remains perfect Pinheiro for the season. Johnny Hecker, 6 punts, average of 46.8, but 4 of them landed in the 20-yard line. And of course, the last one there, just a beautiful punt right at the 1-yard line.
Yeah, that Johnny Hecker, yes, great job. I'm not going to give you a star of the game or hero, but you could be an honorary member, as a few players deserve honoraries.
You are a punter. A punter, so we have to keep that in mind. But yeah, good job by him. Couldn't have asked for a better day from him. Jameis, moving over to the Saints. Jameis, 25 for 41, 353 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Of course, the last interception there coming on the last offensive play for them. For being beat up and everything, I didn't think he looked bad, especially when he kind of got going there in the second half. And we'll talk about Chris Olave in a minute, but he kind of just went to him over and over and over again. The guy was always open. So
yeah,
I didn't think it was a terrible game from Jameis. It wasn't the Jameis game that I was hoping we were going to get. But he ended up with 2 interceptions and we won the game. So that's I'll take that. Alvin Kamara, 15 carries, 61 yards, 4.1 yard average. It felt worse than that, and 27 of those yards did come on the first play of the game for them.
Yeah, so you take that away, he's like 14 for 30 something yards, so 2 yards a carry. So
yeah, they really shut him down after that. Mark Ingram didn't really have much of an impact in the rushing game. Did have a rushing touchdown, but only 18 yards for him on 5 carries. Chris Olave,
and again, that's 7 yard long, so 4 carries for 11 yards, so averaging another 2 yards a carry, minus that 1 decent run.
Yeah, I mean, they averaged 3.8 yards per carry for the game, which, I think anything less than 4 yards a carry is pretty good for your rush defense. So this rushing defense is not as bad as we feared it was going to be after the first week.
No, they definitely buckled down the hatchets and have been doing a really good job on it.
The passing defense, however, was not very good today for the Panthers. Chris Olave, 9 receptions for 147 yards on 13 targets. Traquan Smith, 4 for 105 yards, so 200-yard receivers for the Saints. Michael Thomas, felt like they could have got Michael Thomas the ball a lot more, 5 for 49. He was catching everything thrown to him.
Yeah, because for some reason they kept playing like on 3rd down and 2. They would play like soft coverage of giving him a cushion of 10 yards. You know what he does great? Slants. You know what they beat us on 3rd down multiple times? Michael Thomas slants. It was like, come on, get J.C. Horn, your big corner, out in front of him, smack him in the chest because the face is illegal.
Yeah.
And just throw him off that rhythm and hope your defensive line gets to Winston before he has time.
I don't know who. I'd like to see who was on Olave. I think it was Henderson most of the day.
Yeah.
He seemed to be around at least most of the time when Olave was catching.
But it was a lot of zones when Olave was making that. A lot. Yeah. It just seemed like
they were in their winning defense, which is zone, which is don't give up the big play defense. That's what they were doing. Landry went out in this game. I don't remember when it was. I think it was like maybe the second quarter.
It was actually, I think, it was second half. Maybe you could say even fourth quarter. It was a catch. He twisted his knee. Again, I think Jameis only had like 160, 170 yards until the fourth quarter.
Right. Yeah. I mean, most of these yards are in the fourth quarter or late third. But yeah, Landry went out. He only ended up with two for 22. Kamara 2 for 12, and then a couple others here and there. Pete Werner, who they kept talking about in the broadcast, 11 tackles for the Saints, led the team. Shy Tuttle, one of my favorite names in the NFL, 7 catches or seven tackles. The Saints did end up with 3 sacks. Demario Davis had 1. J.T. Gray, Carl Granderson combined for another, and then Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan did end up with 1 sack. So I'll be interested to kind of, like I said, go back and watch him and Icky, their matchup. Any other thoughts? Will Lutz 0 for 2, by the way, on field goals. Usually pretty reliable with Will Lutz.
I'm just happy we got a win. I'm really worried about the way this offense is playing. I thought by this time that they would start looking a lot better, and they just look so out of sync. I don't know what it is. Like,
Yeah.
Is it just they don't know how to, like, what is going on? I just have no clue.
That's obviously going to have to be a big point of emphasis in practice this week, and then film study and everything else. Because I feel like the defense is right now is firing on all cylinders. I mean, all 3 weeks has looked pretty good outside of the run defense against the Browns. They've looked really good. So, and this week they finally put it all together and got their turnovers. So if that can continue, then the offense just needs to be average. And this is going to be a good team,
Yeah,
or has the ability to be a good team.
That's the only big problem, is that they have to put it together. Otherwise, I don't know what else you can do. I mean, I think net passing yards for the first quarter are still under 50. They said it was 7 starting the game, and then we got a sack. And then with 3 minutes left, I think we finally completed a pass that put us over 10. And then I think we had another completed pass or so.
And just to be clear, that's the first quarter for the entire season.
Yes.
Not just for this game, for the whole season. And I think it's significantly less than 50 yards for the whole season. But yeah, it's rough. All right.
All right. Now let's take a look at the beer bet and our predictions results. Not a good week for me on my predictions and stuff, which is a good thing. I honestly thought about going against the Panthers as a way for me to lose, if that makes sense, because it seems like I always tend to lose these predictions.
Yeah, so, you predicted a Saints victory. Again, I think I agree with you. I think it was for the right reasons. Right? Yeah. We're not gonna kill you on that one. In fact, I hope next week you also predict a Panthers loss. Oh shit!
And there goes the YouTube restricted access. The stupid microphone.
I said Shin. Jeremy Shin. I predicted a 27-17 Panthers victory, so didn't quite get the score right, but I got pretty close. Our beer bet was over under 55 offensive plays. Went just over. I think if you don't count kicks and stuff, I think it was 56 offensive plays. So
first beer bet of the week or win.
Yeah. So congrats to me there. Bold prediction. I think you predicted 6 sacks for the Panthers in this game. That did not happen. It was 1 sack. 6 QB hits though. Honestly, I felt like the spirit of your prediction. I'm not going to give you the win.
No, I don't deserve the win.
They were after Jameis the whole game, like a handful of tenths of a seconds here and there, and it was 6 sacks.
Yeah, and hats off to Jameis Winston because he felt those sacks and he was getting rid of the ball. It was a lot by him getting not sacked.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think my bold prediction was McCaffrey with 200 total yards. Did not happen. All right, let's see. Heroes and zeros. Jerry, I'll let you pick between LaVisca and Frankie Luvu. I have an idea of where you're going.
I kind of want to pick Derek Brown.
Hey, go ahead.
Maybe because I felt like this was his coming out party. He really locked down the running game. He had the interception. He had the other tip pass. I felt like he had a really good game. And Chenault and Frankie Louvu and other key players on defense really deserved it. And like I said, honorary mention to Pinheiro and Hecker. CMC, the offense for almost the whole game.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go Derek Brown. I just want to give all the other shouts out, tips of the cap, because there was a lot of winners in the stars in this game.
Agreed. You named pretty much all of them, so I don't know who I'm going to go with.
I said honorary mention. You can pick anybody. I just didn't want to.
I'm just kidding. I do like that you went with Derek Brown there, and honestly, I think Derek Brown's played really well the whole season so far.
He has.
But I think this game, the casual viewer could see Derek Brown doing a lot, right?
Yeah.
So good job on him. I'm gonna go. I was hoping. I thought this was gonna be easy for me. I'm gonna go LaVisca, just because first game, he touches the ball a handful of times, 2 massive catches that really were, big plays in the game. Obviously the touchdown, but then that 3rd and 15 or whatever it was that he converted into a first down he had to make a couple of guys miss too. Like it wasn't just a run out 15 yards and catch the ball. Like he caught the ball and had to run and make the plays. So I'm going to go with LaVisca, and I hope that this is not the last time that he's the hero of the game. I hope that they let him play more. I think he's earned it for sure. Yeah. I mean, this is, I don't know that the Panthers win the game without him.
Oh, I don't either, because that one touchdown, it put it to where it was not out of reach, but it was a more stretch than an easy 1-score game that it was currently at.
Yeah. And not only that, I mean, we talked about this, but it kind of flipped the momentum back to the Panthers, where the momentum, I believe at that time, was fully with the Saints, kind of catching up, but big plays. All right. Zeros. I guess I'll go first on my zeros here. Man, that's kind of tough because I think Chuba did okay. Deontay Foreman didn't even touch the ball in this game.
Yeah, especially towards the end, I was kind of shocked why we didn't. If we're saving Christian McCaffrey and we're just running him up the middle, I understand he is a great ball protector. Yeah. I even texted you that I love in traffic. I always see him double clutch with both hands on that ball. But with that being said...
Oh, hold on. I have not given my zero yet.
Oh, my
I'm not giving my zero yet.
I went off on a tangent because
I want to name as many possible zeros as I can.
Okay.
Now you could say DJ, 1 catch on 6 targets. You could say Robbie, 1 catch on 4 targets. Ian Thomas dropped another ball today that was right in his hands. But I think I'm going to go with Baker, actually. I think that Baker kind of actually very much contributed to the lack of production from DJ, the lack of production from Robbie Anderson. Ian Thomas is not a good player, but I think I'm going to go with Baker. He's got to figure something out here. I don't know if it's timing. I don't know if they need to stay after practice, a couple of hours every day to figure this thing out, but something is off in it, and they got to fix it if the Panthers really want to do anything significant this season.
Absolutely. My zero is the same. Baker Mayfield. I was looking at stats. You could say Robbie and stuff like that, but in my head, I think of 2 or 3 open DJ Moore and Robbie Andersons. If he actually gets the ball to them correctly, they're at 40, 50 yards each. I mean that.
And this game isn't as close.
Yeah.
Right? Because the offense keeps moving down the field. They could have put up 30, 35 points in this game pretty easily, honestly. Again, Baker has been saying that they are this close on offense. They're very close. And I believe that, but I think he's the problem. He's the guy that needs to take that extra, few feet to get there, to get where they need to be. So,
I mean,
I like Baker, honestly. I mean, I think Baker's a nice guy, a cool guy. I think he has talent. And I'm hoping that as the season goes on, they develop the chemistry, and I'm sure they will, right? I mean, he's only been here a couple of months. He's never threw the ball to any of these guys before. It does take time. He's learning a new system. It does take time, but the wide open stuff to DJ, the two passes and the one to McCaffrey, there was another one to Robbie that was just a bad throw.
Yeah.
That Robbie had to come back and try to make a really good catch on, and Robbie doesn't have the best hands. So that probably wasn't going to work out. But yeah, so I'm going with Baker. Sorry to name everybody again, but I'm going with Baker as my 0. And you said Baker as well. All right. What's next here? South games.
We have a couple games currently in progress. The Falcons are facing Seattle Seahawks. Game is currently tied 10-10. And the highlight game of the week, the Packers and the Bucks are facing off each other. Packers are currently up 7-3, second quarter.
Aaron Rodgers is playing really well in this game too. He's like 8 for 9 for 77 yards.
Is he throwing it to himself?
Well, as Giselle would say, the quarterback cannot throw the ball to himself.
That's where I get confused.
Remember that, yeah. All right. Well, I think that's gonna do it, Jerry.
All right, we want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. And if you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on our show. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. And just to let listeners know, we are now the unofficial Frankie Louvu fanboy club. So if you want to join, just hop on our bandwagon.
Yeah, membership is free. We're taking all comers, so bring it. We'll be back on Thursday to preview the Panthers and Cardinals. Interesting game. I'm interested to watch the Cardinals play. They played tonight or tomorrow, or are they playing right now? I don't know. But I'm interested to watch them play against the Rams today because I don't know if the Cardinals. I don't think they're good, but if they beat the Rams, then maybe they're good. So I don't know. But that's going to be an interesting one to talk about. So until then, everybody, stay safe out there and keep pounding.
Wow.